Thank you for having me. My name's Asa. I'm from Wellington. Arcanum, I started in 2016 just to do AI, so we've been doing it since it was not sexy. And as you can see from the next one's the photo that Justin found, which was definitely a few years ago. Thank you, Justin, for pulling off something that was less grey. And as a company, we help organizations go on the journey of adopting AI, both in terms of educational content, consulting, and into technology. So, very much focused on the practical adoption of AI. Because AI is so great at producing content, there's lots of blogs and lots of podcasts and lots of content about what you may want to do, but not so much about how you actually do it. And so that's what we're going to focus on this morning. This afternoon, what you have heard is that kind of the time is now. There's a huge amount of capability in AI, and there's a lot of things it can do for your business. There's a lot of potential for it, but the challenge is, how do you actually do it? I like to talk about it in a way that from ChatGPT or from pre-ChatGPT to ChatGPT is like moving from the abacus to the calculator, which is pretty damn transformational. For those of you who remember those scientific calculators, all the extra buttons on there, no idea what they were about. I was still just doing 1 + 1 type stuff. But again, if you knew how to use the tool, you could train yourself to be an engineer or something just on this magical calculator. Accountants were up in arms when Excel came out, thinking it was going to destroy their whole profession. Any accountants in the room? There's only one. I mean, normally there's like 100. There's never been more accountants. Since Excel came out, there's never been more accountants in the world. And so now we're in this moment where we've got to move from the calculator off to the side to Excel, where we're bringing it into the businesses and figuring out how to embed it into processes and so on. Okay, first though, pub quiz, question number 1. What does GPT stand for in ChatGPT? Yeah, we all talk about it. We use the words every day, especially on the Roadshow, but nobody actually knows what it stands for. If you do know what the answer is, there is a book ready for you. This is written by my chairman, Scott Houston, who's a New Zealand entrepreneur who sold his business to Microsoft a few years ago. I met him because a friend of mine was on a plane sat next to him, and he was like, I'm going to write a sci-fi fiction about AI. It took him 8 years to write the book because he had to keep updating it, otherwise it was historical fiction. That's how fast technology has been going. Okay, nobody knows the answer to that. Oh, we do. Oh, it's close. That is the closest answer of 10,000 people I've asked doing this stuff. That is the closest we've got. Generative pre-trained transformer. That's pretty damn. So there we go. Round of applause for the man who's got the book. Well done. That is literally the only person who's known the answer. Did you Google it or chat it or whatever? You just use AI. That's good. So it's going bonkers now because of ChatGPT. And it's going bonkers because that was when we kind of, like when we had, Nicole referred to it before, when the search box for Google came out and we could just ask questions and get all the websites, that was transformative rather than going and look at microfiche or libraries and so on, right? Change search. AI, really pre-ChatGPT, was the world of data scientists. We had teams of data scientists. It was big data. You had to be very specialist. You had to have a cone head and live in the dark. Whereas when ChatGPT came out, again, we went back to that little box, and it's like, what do you want me to do, oh master? And it cracked the language, right? So then suddenly we could interact with it. So that's one thing, was the kind of user experience, which now we're kind of all familiar with. The next thing is the pre-trained part. I say 2 years ago, 4 years ago, quite literally, we would be having to charge companies $100,000. It would take 6 months. All these data scientists getting the data, tidy up the data, train the model, and the output quite often was just a CSV. And you're like, wowzers, that is not great value. It isn't perceived to be great value for all of that work. But that's because we had to train the AI to predict things on this data. Now it's all pre-trained, and we've heard some of the challenges around all of that pre-training, but now all of the knowledge is already in the AI. Now it's about how do we use it. It's moved from science to software, and that's a huge opportunity for businesses. So now we're at this stage where this is what you have. You have near genius level interns available nearly for free, that don't complain, nearly available instantaneously, and they have, say, genius level knowledge on everything. Not just data, not just tech, on everything that your wildest, maybe your wildest imaginations, given the guardrails and some of the AI, maybe not so wild. But that's what you've got now, is this incredible resource available at your fingertips. So pub quiz number 2, which is the backup in case somebody didn't know what GPT stood for. What was the IQ of Einstein? Guesses? It's all right. I was going to say there's no wrong answers, but there's lots of wrong answers. 192 is a bid. 160, that guy was here on Tuesday. Cheat. So 160. At the moment, the large language models are about 120, 130 in terms of intellectual quotient, right? So only IQ. Thankfully, as humans, we're not just memory banks in a body. We have EQ, there's spirituality, there's all these other parts that make us human. But in terms of where it's going, the prediction is that these large language models or these kind of AI will get to 10,000 IQ by 2030. All right, so it's going to be better at recalling information. It's going to be better at analyzing information. It's going to be better at processing large volumes of information. But again, that's not what we're really designed for. Some people are. You may know some friends at the dinner table who are a bit more like that. But most of the time, we are not actually machines, right? We don't operate like machines. However, we have been brought up in this post-industrial age where actually we are kind of the machines, where we're processing work in a factory, we're doing the tasks every day, we're checking in and doing what we don't want to do, but we have to suck it up because that's what we have to do. And so now we have this moment where we can move on from that. And as small business owners, or business owners generally, but especially small ones, when you get into business, you want to grow, you want to make money, you want to make profit, that really disgusting word where we get dividends and kind of make profit. The challenge is as you grow your business, typically, as you grow, you typically will hire humans. And as you hire more humans, you get more complexity. As you get more complexity, more management. More management means more policies, more procedures. And suddenly, like, this is not fun anymore. So the breakaway from being able to grow, disconnected from having to hire humans to do everything, is the excitement that we should all be faced with. This is not about removing humans from the business. This is about growing disconnected from the current way of things to make more money, to grow businesses, to have a better economy. As we all know, that's what we're focused on. So hopefully now you've got a bit of a better understanding from the talks we've had before. And this is really why it's great to see so many people here, is we need to spread the understanding of what is possible. The next thing, though, within your businesses is how do you start getting your business engaged in these discussions so you're not the only one running around like a mad person going, AI is the future. So there's kind of 3 levels of kind of ways of approaching this within your organizations. We'll start at the bottom. So task efficiency is what we're kind of talking about. Those things that probably should be automated and can be automated, where we are trying to remove those repetitive tasks, all the gruff that we don't actually want to do, but we kind of feel like we have to do it. Or maybe we want to do it on a Thursday morning after Thursday, or Friday morning after Thursday night. We've had that as somebody complaining to us. I quite like the brain dead work on a Friday morning, thanks. Got a bit of a sore head. So how do we kind of take away some of that task burden from the humans and kind of move up to that next level? The next level is that management efficiency. How do you get that repetitive reporting, presentations, meetings, agendas, all of that kind of stuff that is out of that management layer, and how do you begin to make that more efficient? How do you make decisions faster because you can get access to the information faster? How do you put the information into the hands of those that need to make decisions rather than having to go through somebody else to prepare a report, to so on and so forth? How do you speed up the business by applying some AI and automation into that management layer? And at the highest level is really at the business owners, the ELT, is how do you begin to expand your thinking? AI knows everything about everything. If you start using it as your research assistant, as your intern to do whatever it's told to go and research and think about some things, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper on a whole world of things. How should I reorganize my organization? What new market should I go to? What kind of products and services? What am I doing wrong in terms of my leadership style? There's a whole bunch of things you can do to start expand your thinking, because as much as we think as humans we are great, which we are, thankfully still, we have blind spots. Now, I think, and I say it from the stage quite frequently, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, maybe closer to 5, hopefully closer to 5, I believe the IOD will recommend an independent AI director on every board, which sounds bonkers right now, but there's no bias in that AI in terms of the decisions and the review of the information. We know sat around board tables, people have agendas. People want things to happen in different ways. So that level of independence, will come, and maybe AI is the way to do that. So feel free to take photos of any of the slides. We will send it around afterwards. This is also available for free on our website as well. So having done this since 2016, working with different organizations of different shapes and sizes, trying to get AI into the workplace, trying to get it into organizations, we've learned a lot of things of what not to do, but also we've seen the blockers and the barriers to adoption within organizations, and so then we turned it into this AI adoption canvas. And what I will do now is just kind of whip through those different sections, just to give you an idea of the kind of things you need to practically start thinking about. And first of all, thankfully, it's about people. It's about humans. You are here because hopefully you are the enthusiasm magnet for your organization. You put your hands up to come here and go, we believe in this technology, or at least we want to learn whether we should believe about this technology. And so finding that person in the organization is vital. The one that's going to talk about it over the shared lunches and in the afterworks and in the meetings, and the one that probably says, hey, how about we use a tool to transcribe this meeting instead of somebody typing. Those types of people you need to find really, really quickly to kind of start embedding AI into your organization. Then you've got to be brutally honest with the kind of skills that you have within your organization. What kind of training is going to be needed? What kind of people skills, soft skills, plus technical skills are going to be needed to go on this journey? Because it is going to involve change. It is going to involve people and humans doing all of these things. And if you don't set it up correctly, you don't be brutally honest about the journey you're going on for your organizational development, it's going to grind to a halt. And for me, it's all about finding the best way to achieve momentum. How do you get the ball rolling? How do you start it going? And we all know that the first push takes the most energy to get that wheel turning. And so you've got to find the right people to be able to do that. Just one example, a recruitment company and that we work with down in Wellington, and the CEO was this kind of enthusiasm magnet. And so now recruiters, any recruiters in the room? Oh, wow. Okay, good. I can talk about recruiters. The recruiters in the room, in the organization are now beginning to use tools to do things faster. Obviously, there's a bit of a doldrums in Wellington, a lot of jobs being lost, especially in government. And so the recruiters, no longer have the admin people, staff, support people that they had before. And so now they're using technology. So when the market turns, again, they know they can grow without having to hire a whole bunch of people to do it. What's the next one? Ideas. Can't see the screen. Once you start probably coming back from here, and especially after this afternoon, you're going to have a list of different ideas that start kind of flowing out once you've gone, okay, actually, if I assume AI can do it and work backwards from there, which is my recommendation because the technology is improving so quickly, then you begin to start going, well, why wouldn't I give this to AI? Why wouldn't I enable this team to do something? Why wouldn't I? And then the ideas start coming through. Then you've got to start filtering them, triaging them, prioritizing them, but that's kind of the internal process. If you're kind of starting with a bit more of a blank page or you want to be more research-driven, there's a huge amount of content out there from very reliable sources, whether it's McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, all of the big guys have very, very good research papers that I recommend. Either you search and look for and download and PDF it, or just ask an AI tool to summarize it for you and get the relevant talking points for your company, right? Real fast and easy. The other one is think about journeys. So whether it's a process, whether it's a customer journey, whether it's a buyer journey, whether it's a partner journey, whatever it is, just think about those steps. I imagine you have some core SOPs, but probably not process documentation for everything. Typically, when we start talking to customers about this, like, oh yeah, we should probably go and map out the reality of what we're doing because the SOPs are typically out of date before you've even started that process. That's another way to think about it. Next is money. It is going to cost money. I put something on LinkedIn, a couple of you may have seen it, around a Gartner report that kind of laid out some of the costs to get started. I'm telling you, they were talking to big businesses in America who were only being sold to by the big four consulting companies. The numbers in there were eye-watering in terms of getting started. And I kind of said in that post, it's about 5 to 10 times less than what was in that Gartner report is the reality of what it costs now to get started. So yes, it's going to cost money, but your budgets are not millions of dollars. Your budgets don't even need to be hundreds of thousands of dollars to get started. You can get started really quickly with less than an FTE's worth of budget. If you were like, oh, we may hire this person, just park that for a little bit and go, right, let's use that budget to get started on some AI stuff. Right now, because of how quickly the world's moving, how the technology is moving, your competitors may be doing it before you, so then you've got opportunity risk. They're like, well, where would we better spend some of our budget if we really believe this technology is going to be the future? And so then you think about what is the prize? What is the why behind why are you here? Yep, you've heard about it, you want to learn about it. What's the why for your organization? Is it to grow faster? Is it to enter new markets, new products, so on and so forth? Is it efficiency? Is it organizational change? Why are you kind of here? What's the why behind it? But you do need to think about, is there an exponential opportunity in front of you, or is there an existential crisis looming on the horizon? I've been invited into board meetings because someone's like, are we going to exist next year? And there's others which are like, if this is true, I can go and capture this huge market opportunity over here and grow rapidly. There's different people in the rooms, different businesses are going to have different types of prizes, but for some, it is going to be an existential crisis. Anybody from Datacom in the room? No, good. So normally, one of the things I would normally say is that if you're a dev shop and you're a support desk company, I would be really, really worried about the future of my billion-dollar business if that's all I'm going to be offering. Because developers are going to be augmented by AI, and they're going to be like, well, actually, the expectation of me as a customer of Datacom is I want 100 times more output for the cost that I'm paying you, or I want you to charge 1% of what you're charging me. If I've got a support desk, it's like, why do I need humans doing all this stuff when I can just get a support AI assistant kind of put into my business? So even businesses of that size and scale are now panicking a bit about what does the future look like. They've got to figure out their business model, and maybe you do too. On a very opposite end of the spectrum, a company just around the corner from me, and the only wallpaper factory in the Southern Hemisphere, they claim. I haven't actually looked at it, whether that's true or not, but they claim it. They were like, wow, we're all these companies already importing cheap wallpaper from China, and now what about this AI stuff? What's happening? And their designer went, hey, I'm going to lean into AI-generated imagery and create bespoke wallpaper that we can charge 10 times more for. Tell you what, they've never been busier. So again, just because you're in a super traditional business, there's ways in which you have these exponential opportunities, which is super exciting. But there is going to be impact, right? There is going to be change management. There's going to be people that are like, I don't want to change. And people are like, I quite like using the calculator or whatever it is. There's going to be people that don't want to change. And for some of them, they will need to go somewhere else. And that's just the reality of moving forwards and making progress. There is going to be some disruption to the way you do work. There's going to be some disruption because it's new tools. There's going to be some disruption because processes change. There is going to be an impact on your business, and it's making sure that you've set the organization up to be excited about what's around the corner and not in fear about what's right in front of them. And that is going to be a genuine challenge for many organizations whose culture isn't quite there yet. And then time. Truly, I've been in the business 8 years. The progress that I've seen in the last 2 years has been frightening. What I would have predicted 2 years ago happened after 6 months. What I predicted would happen in 10 years has happened in 2 years. It's moving so fast. So the fear should be, if my competitors figure out how to use this technology faster than I do, what's that going to do to me and my business? How big is the window of opportunity? And what happens if I miss that window? And it's probably half as long as you think it might be. Because yes, we've got a lot of progress to make in terms of being able to utilize this technology and adopt it, but those that crack it are really going to make a huge, huge difference in the market. And I won't touch on this too much because we had a wonderful talk on that by somebody far more competent than me, but absolutely, you've got to make sure that you know what you're doing and protect yourselves in the right ways. So, another thing that we've been working on is coming up with a framework for actually how do you start on your AI adoption journey. And again, this would have taken me maybe a day to brainstorm, what's the acronym that's going to work? Thank you, AI. I just put it in, and off it comes with a wonderful acronym that makes perfect sense. So we'll just quickly whip through that. First thing, set. Ready, set, go. So when you're on that kind of start line, what are the set of tasks that you're going to tackle first? And say for me, it's about what's going to create the momentum, which means don't go too big that if it fails, everyone gets disappointed and go, told you, the technology was no good. But don't do it too small that it's frivolous and doesn't actually make any difference either. So it's, what's going to move the needle enough, but isn't going to be so high risk that there's going to be a problem. So what are the set of tasks that you're going to do there? Secondly, what are the tools? The tools is the challenge right now. What we hear in a lot of the events that we get involved in is, what do I use? I think a question actually came up after before the morning tea. There's so many tools. Everyone who was a Google engineer that got laid off 2 years ago became an entrepreneur because now they had this wonderful thing called OpenAI, and there's a gazillion startups. I probably subscribe to a dozen or so different newsletters, and every single one of those has a new tool, a new SaaS tool for one thing. So trying to figure out the right tools to use. Again, the commentary, which was great earlier on, was, is it something that's going to survive the next iteration of AI? Is it going to be something which is another tab on your browser that you're like, not another tab? And how do you kind of get beyond that? So picking the right tools is going to be important. But it may well be a set of tools for today and tomorrow, and then you may need a plan for a set of tools for the next time horizon, potentially, because the technology is moving so fast. The first thing I would be asking, one, apart from come and talk to me, second one would be go back to your existing vendors and go, when are you going to deliver stuff that you're promising? Because right now, a lot of the big vendors and small vendors are way over their skis going, we've got all this AI stuff covered, don't worry about it. Just give us a moment and we'll deliver some stuff. It isn't going to be that straightforward, but put the pressure on to commit to dates of when they're going to deliver something, and then just be prepared for when they miss them, because it will happen. Next, aim. What does success look like, right? We go into these proof of concepts, these pilots, these programs, and we're like, that was good. We feel good about it, but not entirely sure whether we got ROI. Or what do we learn? It doesn't always have to be the perfect outcome, but what do we learn as an organization by going through this process? Do we realize that our people weren't quite ready? Or do we realize our data was better or worse than we thought? Or did we actually go, we saved half an hour here every single day for a whole team, and now we're like, this is great. What can we do with that extra capacity? But measure what you want and make sure it's connected to outcomes. Third, then, is then realignment, because ultimately the first wave of ideas that you want to process, say they're not going to be perfect. It's not going to be absolutely nailed on for a number of reasons. One, processes are going to be a bit wonky and probably a bit rigid, and they need to be a bit more flexible. Data is not going to be perfect. The AI isn't perfect either, so on and so forth, right? So be prepared for imperfection, and then get people realigned around, look, this has shown enough promise, here's enough ROI that we're going to commit to the next stage of the journey. And then finally, track. From there on, can you continually reinvest? Can you continue to go to that next stage of the program? Can you continue to move forwards faster than your competitors? In the early days, it's about getting those muscles. It's exercising. We all know that when we come back from a summer holiday, we're like, oh man, that hurts when you start exercising again. It's going to be like that with the technology. It's going to hurt to start with, but once you get going, building momentum, it's going to get easier and easier. So, in closing, few giveaways, takeaways. On our website, we have a free AI readiness assessment. Feel free to do that. We also have the AI adoption canvas. I think I've got a summary slide with all these things at the end, so you can just take one photo instead of four. AI adoption canvas, which is available. What's that one? We also have a getting ready, get started with AI webinar and a podcast and all sorts of stuff to kind of give you practical advice. And then we also do, say, these executive workshops to help organizations prepare. We go deeper into the canvas kind of elements, and then some ideation and prototyping workshops as well. And because Justin's such a nice guy, I agreed to do 10% off any of the workshops for people that came along. So the final slide, take a photo of that one with all the resources on. And then this afternoon, we'll kind of go through a bit more on the technology side to kind of show you very specific, very kind of action, business-oriented use cases, and how you can kind of move through from prototyping into your business and then into autonomous AI assistants, which, again, I prefer the word assistant or agent rather than agent, but we'll get onto that this afternoon as well. So, thank you.